Hello everybody, welcome back to the workshop. So today, in this video, I'm going to talk about how to fix a bent tool. So I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but this thing has a clear bend to it. Now the reason for this being is I've used some pretty heavy tooling on it, and this was not a properly heat-treated tool in the first place. So what that means is because of the way that my edge, or the way my geometry of my tool is here, and it being so narrow, I did not have a firm enough temper, so I didn't have it harden up enough to resist the shock that was going to take and be introduced into this tool. And hopefully you guys can see this, but it's got a clear curve to it. You can see it better there. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you how to fix it. So let's head over to the forge and we're going to get this heated up. Okay, so after normalizing this thing 3 times, we are going to set this thing up where the arch is pointed up, the mountaintop's up, and we're going to lightly tap it with a wooden mallet. That's kind of critical here. You do not want to be hitting this with a hammer because it will basically ruin all the work that you put into grinding the piece and getting it all squared up and the dimension and everything that you're looking for. We're just trying to take a bend out of it. So we're really forming it at this point. We're not trying to forge it. So stop hitting it once it gets cold. And the reason why you have to normalize this thing 3 times is because you have to think about all the stress that you've put into this punch over the years of use. Now this punch here it's been used lightly in probably the last 4.5 years that I've had it. But you know, it's been put through some fairly good use in a professional shop or professional setting, so we've got to be careful of that. So now you can see here we have this nice and straight as an arrow. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and normalize it 2 more times, and then we're going to go ahead and harden this thing. So what will I do different this time? What I'll do different this time is when I harden this piece, not only will I harden it, but I'm going to harden it, but I'm only going to draw it back to like a pale straw color instead of taking it up to the purple color that I had it before. When I made this, I was under the assumption that spring steel, or 5160, you wanted to take and make it like a spring, so it needed to be purple, almost blue in color when you heat treated them. Well, that was wrong. Again, this was meant to kind of punch and shear through pieces, and it just was not able with this thin cross section to handle the abuse of the big large hammer. So I'll stick it back in the forge here without any air on, and we're going to let that come up to a critical temperature, and then we're going to pull it out, set it on the side of the fire, or set it in the ashes of the fire, let it cool down to a black heat, or where it's no longer changing state. Then we'll put it back in the forge and do all that again. I won't be showing that, but I will show you the hardening portion of when I harden it and then I draw back the temper on it. Okay, we're going to bring this out. It's non-magnetic. We're going to plunge straight down and give it a figure-8 swirl. Now, you don't have to go figure-8 swirl, but you know, you basically just want to take and shake off any of the air bubbles that'll prevent the water from cooling the surface of the punch. Now, larger things like hammers, this is more important. Small stuff like this doesn't really produce that many bubbles that prevent the water, so they do cool down pretty quick. So hopefully you can see this. It's kind of blown off. It's got a little bit of grayscale. I don't think you guys can see this. It's got kind of this bit of a gray look to it where it's blown off the forging scale, and it's kind of got that martensite formation that we're looking for. But now this thing is really hard, so we're going to go ahead and draw back the temper. Now, you may be asking yourself, Roy, this is a coil spring. Why did you quench it in water? Well, contrary to popular belief, oil is not used for everything in hardening and tempering. You want to use the 5160 can be quenched in either water or oil and sometimes brine. It just depends on the application So again, this is coil spring from a car. It wasn't hard enough before. I believe I tried, this was my first time ever doing one in oil coil spring, and it just didn't get hard enough. So again, I took the risk to go ahead and try doing it in water. With that being said, if you find that water through test pieces is too hard of a quench medium, go to oil and do an oil that has a known factor, whether it be something like a cooking oil, a specific cooking oil, grade cooking oil, or do something like a parts 50 or somewhere the equivalent of a quenchant oil. So without further ado, let's get this. Now this is fully cooled off, and this is only one way of doing these. Now this is fully cooled off, we're gonna shine up a little shiny spot here over at the belt sander real quick, and then we'll come back and we'll start going ahead and tempering this tool. Okay folks, so I've got this piece in here shoved down. I've got the struck in, shoved down into the hearth of the fire here, or the hottest part. And what we're waiting on is we're waiting to see colors. We're waiting to see those bronze colors come up to the top here. And once we see that, I'm going to go straight in for the quench just as quick as you can, because almost as soon as you see that pale straw color, from the time it takes you to go from pale straw to bronze is almost in a snap. So you want to be very careful of that. I don't know whether you'll be able to see this on the camera or not. I hope you are. But it's not quite there yet. It's kind of look like it might be getting some fringing back here, some heat traveling up. So that's good. That's what we want. And it's slowly getting up here. Again, we don't want to rush this. You want this to be in a dying fire or a fire that's kind of cooling down. You don't want to, you don't want this to be a blaring hot fire, because it will run those colors too quickly, and that's not what we want. So I'm just going to wait for that basically to turn bronze and then give it a quench. So I don't know if the camera's picking this up just yet, but it's starting to kind of turn that pale straw color that I'm looking for. So I can see the color change is starting to happen. It's not quite a pale straw yet, but it's starting. Now, something to understand about the colors and tempering and heat treating is that the colors that you observe with your naked eye in your shop may be different in different lighting situations. So you have to look all around it, and it'll look like I'm shading it out or something. You've got to look all the way around it to take and see where it's at and what's going on there, because again, what it looks like to you, if you do it in a different area, it'll change completely. So there we go. We've got a bronze now. We'll quench it. All right. So again, I don't think you guys can see that, but there's that bronze color. Yeah, I think you can see it just fine. But again, that's what we're looking after. Now you can also come over here and you could just heat just this back end up if you want it to be a hardened end, or you just leave it soft, and that's fine too. The coil spring can handle quite a bit of abuse from a hammer, so as long as you're using a soft face hammer, you won't mushroom the back end too much, and it should give you plenty of years of use now. But anyways, that's it for this video. That's how you straighten a punch. Hopefully that helps somebody out there. When you see a bent punch, that not all is lost, you can straighten it out. You just have to take your time with it, and you can put a tool back into service, a good usable tool again. So that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed it. If you like this video and you'd like to support more videos like this, consider checking out our website, blacksmithpdfs.com, and purchasing a power hammer plan or two, or an e-course on how to start a blacksmithing business. Jessica and I's got all sorts of goodies over there to help you all out there in your businesses and whatever you find yourself getting into. So, without further ado, God bless y'all, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.